Welcome to part two. We're just waiting for Kent. Here we go. Here's Kent, Ireland's most eligible bachelor. Welcome back, Kent. Yeah, you were saying.
I think when you get used to having that salary and you have that, it's like going to work every day. You have a good pay, you have a good lifestyle, you have a good standard of living, you're happy. Then your boss comes into you and says, "Well, you know what? I'm not paying you that anymore. You know, your quality of living is going to go down. Your lifestyle is going to have to change." So I suppose once you get used to that level of income, you really, really don't want to be going down any less than that because you're used to a certain standard of living. And I think that's what happens to a lot of fighters. Even though he's been losing, he's been lucky. You know, he's been losing all them big fights he's had. He's lost them all.
He's not
And he's
going to
still
win over a world champion, a former world champion, or
no, no, and he's still stepped
hanging
in.
around, mate. And do you know what? It's a bad thing for the sport when we've got him. He's walking about, creating controversy and all that. And do you know what? He is the poster boy. Touch when it doesn't happen, but he's the poster boy for somebody who's really going to be suffering in years to come, if not in ring soon, because he is a sitting duck him as regards taking punishment. Tyson Fury were pulling his punches on him.
Yeah, yeah, he was, and I don't think the fight should have went on as long as it should have. I don't think they all say, yeah, it's championship boxing and all this and that, but for me, over winning a title or winning a fight, the most important thing, the paramount, is the fighter's safety.
How did he get a shot at the world title against Fury, against Vitally? Who has he beat to get world title shots like that? Him. Oh,
he was in that era where he won British, he's won Commonwealth, he's won European. That doesn't mean he deserves to go in and fight for a world title. I'm not saying that.
What had he done leading up to Fury?
Second fight, nothing. Nothing.
Right. But he's fighting for greatest prize in sport with 12 losses then. We've got 13 now. I mean, what we're going to be keep doing? Wheeling him out. I mean, is Dylan White going to be the new Chisora now? Mr. Controversial. Is Dylan White going to take Chisora's role over now?
See, to be honest with you, I actually think Dylan White has got less punch resistance than Derek Chisora. Honestly, I do.
Think Dylan White.
I think
shot fighter.
He knew
world class up. He's a shot fighter, in my opinion, Ken.
Yeah, he is. He absolutely is. You look at the rate of, you know, he always struggled to get through camp. He's always got a lot of injuries. He can only really fight once a year. So I agree with you. I agree with you.
He's fat as a pig.
Yeah, I remember watching. I remember watching him in the Marius Vac fight, and I thought he lost that fight. Honestly, I thought he lost against Marius Vac that time. He fought him. Was that on the? Yes, that was on the Andy Ruiz, AJ rematch. That was the rematch. Yeah, I thought he lost to Marius Vac. I thought he got a gift of a decision as well against Oscar Rivers and dropped heavily.
Kent. Are you listening to me, Kent? Kent,
yep.
Yep. Right. We don't call Big Meech AJ. We call him Big Meech.
Or Big Femi? Sorry, correct me.
No, not Big Femi. Big Meech.
Big Meech, okay. Big Meech.
Right, now this Saudi money, Ken, is it there, yes or no?
It's not there. It's all smoke screens. It's a smoke screens for fights not to happen.
What rights have they got, Kent, to shut the sport down like this?
You can't really blame Lemons. I'm not going to blame Lemons. This happened This has been happening for 3 years. This has been happening way before the Saudi Money Skills Challenge or whatever they're called. This has been way before it. This is a prequel. This was happening way back. We're still waiting any day now in the AJ Fury fight being made. Sorry, Big Meech. We're still waiting any day the Big Meech announcement for Fury. That was made. We were told in numerous platforms at numerous times that fight had been made. Didn't get made, did it?
No.
What about the amount of times we were told that Deontay Wilder and AJ was going to get made? Did it get made?
No.
So listen, this is like gone back since time began. That all this propaganda and all this nonsense has been going on. It's not going to happen then, and it's not going to happen now.
It's sad at the moment. Who's at fault though, Kent, for Usyk and Fury not happening?
It's Fury.
Yeah.
It's Fury. Yeah. My opinion, he's talking about 1 minute he's talking about legacy, 1 minute he's talking about financial status, 1 minute it's I don't know. I'm just bemused by it all. I'm just sick of it. I actually don't want to hear. I'm sick of listening to Tyson Fury. Nothing he says resonates with me at all. I'm just sick of all the stupid call outs with UFC fighters. I think what he's looking is he's looking the house show. He's looking upside. He's looking stadium fights with probably 90% of the purse split, and that's what he wants. I don't think he wants to fight. I don't think he wants to fight Usyk. I don't think he wants to fight AJ. I think he wants 90% of the split against the easiest opposition possible.
What about old Pop Bang? He's piped up, hasn't he? Aye.
I think I'm just bored of John, to be honest with you. I'm just bored. I'm like everybody now. I'm just absolutely sick of listening to John, honestly. He's played out. That character is absolutely played out, Russell.
Yeah, they've got to come with something a bit better than this now, haven't they?
He's ridiculous.
Why ain't nobody asking him about them 100 men that he put on the moon?
But what about the fight? There was that documentary. There was that channel, that ITV documentary that he's talking about when Tyson just turned pro. He had bare knuckle fights and all. And who were these bare knuckle fights? Who was the Irish champion he fought way back in the 90s?
For 100 grand.
Yeah, it's just.
Who's going to play him in the film, the Irish champion? Jason Statham. You won't put it past old Pop Bang, John Fury, would you? AKA Tarzan.
He's gone on talking about how much he's talking about Tyson being a proper fighting man and having this lineage of being this great champion and being the lineal champion. But he's gone on and saying how much he loves misfit boxing. I don't get it, to be honest with you. I do get it. I think I do get it. That's the problem. I think I do get it. I get it. I understand it. That's the problem.
Tyson, basically, in 20 months since Wilder, in 20 months, and he's no fight lined up, he's fought Chisora and White in 20 months.
I'm going to go back here and I'm going to say that those fights against Wilder, the first fight and the last fight, what damage have they done to Tyson Fury?
Well, his style's changed, Kent, hasn't it?
Has he recovered from that? What type of damage did he take? Neurological damage did he take in them fights. You know, Wilder's a big, massive puncher. I wouldn't go as far to say he's the biggest puncher in heavyweight of all time. I don't agree with that. I think George Foreman was a lot bigger puncher than Deontay Wilder and knocked out
He took
better
out a lot
heavyweights.
more serious guys, didn't he, Foreman?
He did. He knocked out serious, serious fighters, like elite heavyweights. It's all right being a big puncher, but when you get up the elite level, a lot of punchers kind of don't carry that power up with them. You know, you look at the great punchers of years gone by. You look at Julian Jackson. Julian Jackson had that power the whole way up his career. Tommy Hearns had that power as well. There's two of probably the greatest punchers of all time. They always carried that power up at whatever level they had. And Foreman was the same. Foreman carried that power in the near 50s. He was hurting heavyweights.
Yeah.
So, going back to what I was saying there about Wilder, what damage have they done? And an athlete, an aging athlete knows their limitations. An aging athlete knows their body. They know what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Does he know that maybe he knows he can't go in with a big puncher again? Does he know that he can't go in with a slick fighter like Usyk because he's holding his feet a bit more? Tyson's not stupid. He knows what he's got left.
Yeah. Big John has been very critical of Sugar Hill, but 6 months ago he was saying that he were a god. Now he's
6 months.
Yeah, now he's saying obviously other things, isn't he?
I don't want to hear that crap. I don't want to hear that. You know, he was talking about, you know, he's actually learned how to box. Well, what are you talking about, John? He was with Peter and he wasn't dropped once.
He was
And he went
McCracken
on.
as well. One of McCracken had him for one camp and one fight, didn't he?
Yeah.
Tyson Fury. He was with Peter's late brother Huey.
Late, yeah.
Ben Davidson, and Tyson's still not lost. So, is it John? Does John want to train him?
I think John believes what John wants to believe, and
If
he
John
says a lot
really
of stuff.
good, if John were any good, wouldn't Tyson have had him training him by now?
Absolutely, yeah. And you know, he turned around and said that this is the first. These are proper boxing people he's training with. He's learned how to punch. He's learned the Kronk style. Well, what are you talking about, John? You know, Emmanuel Stewart was the epitome of the Kronk. He was the Kronk. You know, you look at Lawrence Okoye's last fight against Chris Smith. You look at Ben Whittaker. You look at, you know, Joseph Parker. Don't give me that nonsense. That's not the Kronk style. That is definitely not Kronk style. So it's not. So I'm just sick of hearing John jumping on the bandwagon, and he got Ben Davison axed. Sugar Hill looks like he's been axed. You know, what does he want? I think it's that they'll pick and choose what they want to hear, and they'll go with what they want. And they'll go with the cheapest person possible. That's what they want, and they want someone that's going to run after them and come to them, which is probably not ideal for most trainers because they've got their own stables and they've got their own gyms to look after.
Is Tarzan good enough to train Tyson?
I don't know. I don't know what. It all depends on what way, as I say, that Tyson's recovered from those two fights against, you know, Wilder. Those two, the first one and the third one. You know, Dillian White, he didn't lose. He won every second of every round in that fight. The Derek Chisora fight, he's won every second of every round. He hasn't been tested since the third Wilder fight. So it depends who's going to bring in and what way it's going to adapt the style. Is he going to change the style again? Can he box? Can he move? Can he be evasive? I think time will tell.
Big John says that Usyk needs to stop lying to the public.
What?
Yeah,
that's just absurd. You know, as he listened,
apologize for his lies.
That is the most ironic thing I've heard in the last couple of months. That is that's sacrilege from John, isn't it? The amount of lies that we've heard over the years from John, that's complete nonsense.
What about Tommy
isn't it?
the sole top British title? 24-year-old, 9-0, 4 by way of. In the last 2 years, he's fought 2 YouTubers and 1 boxer who look like they got him out of the bar. I mean, is that John's pedigree as a trainer to train the best heavyweight on the planet?
Well, any proper boxing man will turn around and tell you that they're not going to watch. Do you honestly think Joe G's going to sit and watch Misfit Boxing?
No.
No. Any proper boxing person will not be watching Misfit Boxing.
You know, when
There's
you
no
look
way
at
they're
it,
going to be
though,
watching it.
when you look at it, Kent, right? Is it now sadly about money that, like, Tommy's a millionaire, right? He's 9-0. He's not really fought anybody who was any good, right? He's not good enough to win an area belt. Yeah, he might be down the line, so we can't knock him yet. He's only 24, but he's not going to be in area belt fights now, is he? Because he's not going to want to fight for like 30 grand, is he? 20 grand, if he were lucky. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. He's going to go that route, but you know, everybody's had their hand in it all, haven't they? When you think about it, Calla, Spencer Oliver, he started it all off, didn't he? Spencer Oliver, if you remember. KSI, there's DAZN, Tommy, Sky, BT Sport, Warren Eddie Hills. They've all had an hand in it all at some stage, like putting them on undercards and this and that. They've all been responsible for it, haven't they? You think?
All of them have been responsible. You know it.
All of them have got dirty hands.
All of them. You know, Freddie Frintoff got a board license and fought in the Frank Warren show.
TV platforms as well are responsible for allowing it. And now it's a free for all. And then you've got this Saudi thing. There's no money on the table. Yeah, all it is a load of talk. Why can't they just go about the business? If the money's there in December, everybody can fight. Then if they keep winning, your job's to fight and keep winning. And if you're good enough, the money comes, doesn't it? Why are we all having to be parked up waiting for something that might be there, but it might not?
I agree with everything you said. I don't think it's going to happen. It will or it won't. I don't think it will. Do they have the infrastructure for boxing? Is there the money? What is the Empire going to bring in the Saudi? What money are they thinking it's going to bring? Because BT, DAZN, they're all going to want a slice of the pay-per-view revenue. That's not going to be just handed over willy-nilly. Everyone's going to want a percentage of that, and to the point as a percentage that is profitable for everyone.
Yeah, it's madness what's going on at the moment. But when I look at it, right, it looks to me like Tyson is going to want to go on his own. I think there's chinks in the armor of the camp now, isn't there? Do you think there's cracks appearing, isn't there? Bricktop, Aram. There's too many big personalities for it to all not go one person's way in it.
The Tyson Fury deal at Top Rank was a cash grab. It was the panic and the hysteria from DAZN. DAZN were overpaying fighters. They were signing fighters to contracts where they got X amount per fight. You look at Tevin Farmer, was on a fortune. He was on unification money, fighting just regular defenses of his IBF. So they were overpaying fighters. They were absolutely wrecking the market. And basically what happened was Top Rank and Bob Arum and Fury and Frank Warren, they all had a pack. And that meant that they signed him to a contract just to sign him, to get him away from go. They were all afraid of all the top fighters going to DAZN, and DAZN just destroying the American market. They said that they were going to destroy the American pay-per-view model. It wasn't going to work. And it was like, right, everyone, come to us now. Come and sign with us. We have all the money. We're going to have all the numbers. And Top Rank jumped in head first. They signed him to a massive deal. Massive deal. The Volin fight was on free to air. The Tom Schwartz fight wouldn't have sold anything. You look at the first Wilder fight, I don't even think it done 800 buys. The second Wilder fight wouldn't have done, I think it done 990, something like that. But the amount of money that the Top Rank and Frank Warren have lost, let's not forget, look at the purse split, the purse bid that they put in to win the Dillian White fight for the WBC title. That was the biggest heavyweight purse in history. How are they going to recoup that back? They weren't going to recoup that back in the Derek Chisora fight.
Yeah. Do you think that Tyson's wasted his best years?
I think his best years really were when he won the heavyweight title against Vladimir. Then he took time away from boxing. Obviously, your peak years as an athlete are in your late 20s, early 30s. Yeah, no sports science is there, and fighters perform. Fighters are actually performing into their 30s, 40s now, more so than they ever did. But you have to say that he was at his best when he won the heavyweight title against Vladimir. That's his peak win. That's his best win.
Well, he's only done 220 rounds, Tyson, you know.
Yeah, well, you look at his resume as a heavyweight champion. They talk about, yeah, he's an O'Neill champion, but many world champions has he actually beat?
Beat Cunningham, a cruiser, Vladimir, and Wilder twice.
There you go. Many did George Foreman and Ali have between them. Probably close to 30.
Not about George, but Ali 16, and they're only one champion then, weren't they? He beat a lot of guys, Ali, that'd be champions today. So Ali just had top guys, not all the time. They did throw, one, on top 15 guy in every now and then, but he fought everybody in two eras, didn't he? 60s and 70s.
And he was an active heavyweight. He wasn't afraid to go and challenge, go to Europe and maybe take less money.
Like Larry Holmes, they were active and they were learning the craft. Tyson should be hoovering up these fights because they're easy wins for him, most of them. He should be hoovering them up and taking a lot less and doing 4 fights a year. Why don't he do 4 fights a year, right, and charge 15 quid pay-per-view? It'd be very popular because you'd be parting with 60 quid in pay-per-view a year, wouldn't you? Well, now you're more or less parting with that for 2 fights, aren't you? So why don't they charge 15 quid and get him out 4 times? Do you know what I mean? Instead of being greedy.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong, but I wouldn't even mind if a heavyweight, like say Fury, say everything's parked up at the minute with Usyk, AJ. Why not go and pick out a good heavyweight and have a 10-rounder and charge a tenner to see that as pay-per-view?
Well, at this rate, if they don't do anything, they're not going to have anybody watching because they're turning fans away.
He's staying active and he's developing his name brand value. Your name brand value is about your activity and being consistent. If you're not being consistent, you're not developing your brand. And that's what's happening with Fury.
Listen, they've got a big job on now, Ken, because they've had all this before when public went against them, and then he went away, didn't he, for depression and that. Let's hope he don't go to depression again. But this is how I look at it. They've wheeled his dad out. His dad's trying to tone it all down and blah, blah, blah. Then telling a load of old cobblers' story about, he went to get this £500,000 roller, and I said, no, that's not for me, and all this nonsense. I think I'm going to listen to that. Load of crap. He's just inventing rubbish. It's like the
It's
tattoo on his face, isn't it? Load of rubbish. Fake
it,
tattoo just for views. Let's see some fights. They mind carrying off in the streets and hey, we're all in Thailand. Who cares? Let's see some fights. Your job's to fight, not string the public along and turn it into a car crash reality TV.
I agree with you, and I would think more of him. And I
We're talking
personally
about stuff that's not boxing. It's starting
no,
to make my head in. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's not relevant. It's not relevant. Uh, Personally, I wouldn't mind if he turned around and says, "You know what? I hold my hands up. It didn't work out against Usyk contract wise. I want it to happen. The AJ thing doesn't look like it's going to happen. I'm going to fight a couple of times a year. It's not going to be as a world title fight. I'm going to pick A, B, and C, charge a lot less for it. People would get behind it and say, well, at least he's actually trying to stay active and stay relevant rather
Kent,
than
Kent,
using
listen,
stupid stories to stay relevant.
Kent, right. You know Tyson, have you ever thought that he probably don't even care anymore? Have you ever thought that he don't care about it all no more? They're just going to do
Well,
it, and that he might be so far removed from reality with people gassing him. I mean, let's have it right. The only person who's going to beat him probably in this era is himself. Now he's
yeah,
beating
agree
himself
with you.
the more. Listen to me, Kent. Right, he's beating himself, but he can't see it because everybody's gassing him up. And while he's beating himself, Earn and all the rest of them, they're going to freeze him out. That's what they're doing. Have you ever thought that Earn's doing his best to make sure that Fury's not involved in all this and that they can go their own way. They don't need Fury and all that nonsense. Trust me, they're going to put pressure on these governing bodies. And Tyson now could be turning everybody against him, Bricktop, Aram, the lot. Because these people are business people. They're not going to be messed about. Right? There's none of this, oh, he's my best mate and all that. Warren don't get on with any boxers. This is business. And this is dragging on and on and on and on now. And it's becoming a bit of a joke, really, isn't it? And I think he's going to get froze out, and I think they'll just carry on. They might even invent a belt, but I think he could shoot his Senate foot. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I think Frank Warren, Bob Arum, they need to get something back in their investment, especially that massive purse split. The WBC want paid. They want payment. You know, they get a percentage of the purse split of any fight. So the higher the bid, the more money they get. So it's going to get to the stage where they're going to need paying. So they are. I think Tyson's going to get to the stage where he's going to want to say himself, you know what, I'm sick of this. As I say, I want to get paid. And I think you're right what you're saying. It's like Eddie's making the moves. Eddie's making the chess moves behind the scene to try and get some leverage back. You know, Frank Warren's got Zhang
They
on
want
contract.
Fury's head to implode, don't they? That's what they want now. They're hoping that he cracks under pressure. Oh, I mean, Talk Sport Media now are going after Big John, old pop pop bang Tarzan. They're going after Tarzan on Talk Sport, replaying things he said in certain interviews, right? So they want him to bite now, old pop pop bang. So let's say he bites. Then Tyson's team are going to say, what are you coming out with stuff like that by saying boxing fans are daft and all that? You're turning people away from us. Because that's what's going to happen now. That's what you're going to see. They're going to go after the dad to get them all at it. And that's what will happen because are you telling me Tyson's going to be impressed with his dad slagging boxing fans off? That's about the worst PR you can get.
I go back to the whole press conference that time, if you even call it that.
Well, go and look at the views that they do now on all the channels. They're all down on that. It's like people are turning off them. They will know
I
that. They'll have people around them pointing it out to them, saying, here, listen, look at all these here, but you're turning people off. They're shooting themselves in foot, but they can't see it.
I remember John Dunn when Tyson had the second fight against Wilder, and John done an interview 2 days later in IFL, and it got over 500,000 views. he's had several of those of 500,000 views. Now you look at that 2 years ago, 500,000 views. The other night in social, I don't even think it was 20,000 views. Like that's massive.
15 minutes are up now, and what they're trying to play chess with these sort of people, and really, these sort of people, they won't be messed about. I mean, I'm hearing hundreds of thousands of pounds has gone into talks and expenses and hotels and flights. There's all sorts gone into this. You think they're going to keep tipping up to have talks and be flying about for them to be messing them about? I mean, at first I thought it was funny, but it's dragging on a bit now, isn't it? But let me tell you this, there's a lot of squabbling going on behind the scenes, and they could move on without them and say, you know what, mate? Thank you, but no thank you. Good night, Vienna. And they'll move on, because boxing always does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a business. It's not a sport. Professional boxing is not a sport. It's a business.
So I just think that the shooting this ends it for. Just get the fight. I mean, whatever happened to Wembley being the Holy Grail? You know, get to Wembley and you get paid and it's in Britain and everybody can go to it and all that. Whatever happened to that? Instead of now, we're going to go to Saudi, you can watch us all our careers. But when it comes to the main fights, it's Saudi, and it's like, what is it, 2,200 quid with a ticket to go out there for one person and all that. Then you've got your spend on, not that you can drink anyway. But what I want to make is, they don't care for boxing fans, so why should we care for them? When they can do that at the end of the careers when everybody's following them and all that. It's wrong, you know, Kent. It's wrong.
For me, I can't see how they're going to pump all that money in the boxing. You know, they're going to need to recruit that back. They're going to need to get that back some way. And I just don't think boxing can do that. I don't think boxing has the fan base at the minute to actually do that. I don't think sport, and I don't think the economy has the base to do that. You know, interest rates, people's mortgages, all that's gone up. So it's not like 5 years ago where you could turn around and say, you know what, go stick this in a credit card and get it paid off in a year. It's not as easy now to even go and book a trip away to the likes of Vegas and the likes of Saudi. And Saudi's a lot more expensive than Vegas, but they're going to have to find a way that they're going to recoup that back. And I don't think the other networks are going to want that. They're going to want paid. They're going to want paid.
Do you see it all ending up in court between them all?
No, because I can't see any of it happening.
No, I'm on about Fury trying to get away from that lot and go on his own. Do you see them all going at it in court?
It's interesting because it depends if that deal has finished. Is Tyson actually a free agent at the minute?
I've heard Eddie Hearn sniffing about.
You look at the language. You always look at the language. You look at how they're talking, what they're saying. There's no love lost between Tyson or Eddie. There's definitely not.
Yeah, but it'd be business, wouldn't it? And they're both whores, aren't they? Let's have it right.
And you look at Tommy. You know, Tommy wants to fight KSI. That's you know, John's been talking about how great, you know, the KSI fights are in DAZN and all the Misfit stuff. So there's a partnership there. What actually happens if Tyson Fury goes to Calla? He's going to be on DAZN, isn't he?
Yeah, it'd be mad. I can't see him going to Calla. I want to work with him.
But it means he's not with Eddie. He's on Eddie's network in DAZN, but he's not working, not going to be promoted by Eddie. Calla could be the figurehead there. That could, I wouldn't rule that out.
How's Calla even involved in boxing? He puts all that misfit nonsense on, and he's putting all that. Isn't that a breach of your board license, Calla? You're wronging.
He's putting all that crap on in Misfit, but what's to say that doesn't happen? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it could happen. You know, the Hrgovic's name has been coming up quite a lot this last few weeks, quite a lot. So I see something in the background for Hrgovic. He could be a name that could go through there, but Personally, I think Tyson absolutely destroys Herkovich, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, destroys him, absolutely annihilates him. I thought Herkovich got a gift against Sang.
We'd take Tyson against Ergovic at the moment, wouldn't we?
As I say there, you would take Tyson, if it was just picking a random fighter, having a couple of 10 rounders, staying active, keeping busy until something happens, rather than just sitting waiting this guessing game. AJ's the same. AJ's the same. Wilder's the same. It's not all Tyson Fury's fault. I think Wilder, I think AJ, they're always bad at each other at the minute. So they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all doing the same thing. They're all just sitting waiting. I think Usyk's trying to get on with his career. Yeah, he's taking a lot less against Daniel Dubois because he knows he needs to stay active. He knows he needs to stay active in his career and keep his name brand value relevant.
Yeah.
Relevant.
Yeah, it's craziness, isn't it? Do you see Joshua winning the world title again, though, Kent?
No, definitely not. Nowhere near it.
No.
There's no Charlie Martins out there no more, Russell.
No. Well, it's Usyk Fury, isn't it? It's got and one of them's already dealt with him, and the other one, they can't seem to make it because of all their egos. There's too many cooks spoiling the broth that's bubbling.
Charlie Martin is a gift, is not there no more. Joseph Parker is a gift, who's not there no more. Andy Ruiz at 21 stone is not there no more.
Vladimir were a gift, one the old man, 18-month on settee.
Yeah, 42, not there no more. It's not there. No chance.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true, isn't it, mate? It's true. So Joshua were manufactured. Do you think he'll make the Hall of Fame?
Nah, why? Who's he beat?
Yeah, for what he's done for sport and that, though, bringing fans together and that, stay hungry and be united and that in England until money comes for Saudi.
No, I don't think selling tickets gets you in the Hall of Fame, Russell. It should be on merit and on performances. Definitely not selling a couple of tickets and selling a couple of stadium fights. That doesn't.
Does Tony the Bell End Bellew, does he get in Hall of Fame?
No. Who do you beat?
He beat David Haye twice.
Should David Haye even be in the Hall of Fame? Who's he beat?
He beat Makabu and Nathan Cleverly.
What about Chilemba? What about the Chilemba disaster?
Oh, gee, they were a draw, wasn't it, the first one?
Yeah, awful. Awful. Nah, can't see it. On merit, no. And that's another. I think a great fighter should be in the Hall of Fame. A great fighter. Not a because you win a world title doesn't automatically get you in the Hall of Fame. Definitely not.
Paddy McGuigan's in Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he deserved it.
Yeah, he had a great career, didn't he, Barry?
Yeah, he did. He did.
He was a great inside fighter, wasn't he?
Absolutely brilliant inside fighter. Really good for somebody that was such a great amateur.
Or a body puncher, he was, man.
Great amateur, and at that style, you look at, that kind of Irish style was kind of very upright, really good fundamentals, and Barry had that really good pro style.
Yeah.
Working with great coaches like Jerry Story. He worked in Belfast with a lot of good fighters, got a lot of great coaches in the Eastwood gym. And what they had at that time was they brought over a lot of Panamanian fighters. So they had that South American style. A lot of them fighters stayed and sparred and coached there. His brother was an excellent coach as well. His late brother, he sadly died, who done a lot of coaching with him. Eddie Shaw was his coach over here in Northern Ireland. They were all great coaching and great boxing people. He had that style that TV loved, and he knew it. McGuigan, what people say about him, McGuigan, very intelligent, very money driven, knew the business, knew the sport,
Gonna go to Park
knowing,
Weekend.
yep,